Politicians in Cardiff Bay complain regularly that they're overlooked by the London papers, a situation the presiding officer said had contributed to a democratic deficit. Well, now the editor of the independent newspaper has told this programme that Wales has been neglected by Fleet Street since devolution. Our arts and media correspondent Huw Thomas reports.
Millions buy daily papers, their influence still strong in politics, business, sport and entertainment. And whoever said no news was good news clearly wasn't an Assembly member, as complaints come regularly that they're shunned or simply overlooked by many of Britain's most popular papers. If you buy a newspaper, chances are it's one that's written and published here in London. Now, some Welsh politicians think these papers should pay more attention to Welsh affairs, adding updates from Cardiff Bay to the column inches devoted to Westminster. Ultimately, though, it's the editors who decide what goes in the paper. At the Independent, Amol Rajan is in charge and confesses to sometimes doing Wales a disservice.
Wales, I think, has been treated mostly as a political story, as a Labour story, as an independent story. But I think it's fair to say that it's suffered from a neglect, which is it's probably right to annoy some Welsh readers.
Since the start, the Assembly's suffered accusations that its debates and decisions aren't always that interesting to the outside world.
You were the one who said you were the one who said that it was like watching paint dry, the proceedings.
No, that was because the raw material we get. When we get good raw material, we have very interesting debates. Assembly
business isn't necessarily boring, but it does have to compete with Fleet Street's own news agenda.
I think Wales is interesting, hugely interesting, obviously. I just think we're driven by the news agenda, and there's a sort of practicality that comes into it where we have to be led by the fact that many of our readers, for the Independent at least, aren't in Wales, they're in the southwest of England and the southeast of England.
Political programmes have come and gone, but both the BBC and ITV Wales have continued covering Assembly politics, even though the total number of English-language programmes produced by both broadcasters has fallen while the Assembly's been in existence. The Western Mail's also been covering events from the start, and while it retains a strong readership among the decision-makers in politics, business and sport, overall, it suffered the same declines in circulation as almost every other paper. As the Assembly bedded in, the Western Mail was selling more than 57,000 copies Monday to Friday. By 2014, and including Saturdays as well, circulation's hovering just above 22,000. But focusing on hard copy sales masks the rapid growth online, where the digital arm of the paper got almost 2 million page views a month during the second half of last year, and is on course to double that figure by 2015.
We've got a huge audience online that's growing very fast.
One newsroom produces stories for the Western Mail and Wales Online, and while the politics of devolution can occasionally be dry, some issues do excite the readers.
A great example of a really easy issue to report, and one that got a lot of coverage, was the plastic bag 5p charge. So, that affects everybody. It's the Assembly doing something, the Welsh Government making a decision that impacts on us all.
Accepting that newspaper circulations are down across the industry, the internet seems the solution for politicians looking for greater coverage.
There's an enormous opportunity for them really to focus on digital in the way they present themselves to Wales and to the rest of the world.
Compared to making it into print, the opportunities for being published online are vast. But the politicians will need to make quite an impression if they're to get noticed among the sites and apps delivering news to the modern world.